Can we go ahead and get started? Because I'm still at work and I'd kind of like to go home. Is there a way we can get started, or do we know that Peggy's coming, or what's our challenge at this point?
I think we can get started, right?
Yeah.
Anna, have you had contact with Peggy today?
No.
Okay.
So I can go ahead and start, yeah.
All right. I think it's best for us to start. All right. I now call to order the Special Advisory Redistricting Commission meeting of October 18th to order. This special advisory meeting will be conducted pursuant to the Government Code Section 54953E, which allows the city to hold meetings via teleconference during a proclaimed state of emergency when state or local officials have imposed or recommended measures to promote social distancing. Madam Clerk, will you please call roll?
Yes, thank you. Bernardi?
Present.
East?
Present.
Kimball?
Here.
Moreno?
Present.
Simas?
Sure.
Thank you.
Perfect. That takes us on to item C for public comment. Is there any public comment?
No public comment.
All righty. That takes us to the next item, which is approval of minutes. Given that we received them, may I have a motion for approval of minutes?
I move to approve the minutes.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
First by Bernardi, second by Kimball. Thank you.
Okay, I'll take the roll. Bernardi?
Present.
East?
Yes.
Kimball?
Aye.
Moreno?
Aye.
Simas?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. That takes us on to item E for outreach process and public input. And I think this is a staff item, right? For recommended action.
Yeah, correct. So I think we have 4 key topics we want to walk you guys through this evening, get your input on. I want to start with final confirmation of the schedule that we've worked out with you guys. So Anna, as I'm touching on the other 3, if you could pull up the latest schedule just so they can all see it and confirm it. And then after that, I wanted to talk about the public outreach plan. So we got Spencer Bowen back with us, who will share some initial thoughts on how to get the word out and invite folks to come participate in the workshops or access the tool online. And then next, we got Danny here again with us, along with Tom. I'm going to walk you through the mapping tool, do a tutorial on that, get you guys more familiar with the functionality of that tool. And then we'll round it out with a conversation around the workshop formats. Those will be coming up here pretty soon. Want to sort of zero in on our vision for how to want to engage the public at the workshops in various examples that Anna's pulled up from other cities that have had workshops so far. So share some of those with you and get your feedback so we can put together a thoughtful and productive workshop. So Anna, let's take a look at the final schedule, if you have that handy.
Yes. Can everybody see that?
Yep.
Okay, great. So all the locations have been confirmed, and I added the address. I think that was Mary's suggestion to the workshop locations. So the first workshop is Douglas Middle School, the cafeteria. The second one is Community and Senior Center. Then we have a virtual one on December 1st. Our fourth one is at Pioneer High School cafeteria. And we have Norton Hall that was finally confirmed. And then the last one is at Fire Station 3.
All right, everybody still comfortable with how we've laid out the workshop schedule, and trust Anna's pestering you daily to get your assignments for who can attend which ones. So yeah, any thoughts, comments? Don't need to belabor this too much. We've spent a lot of time working on it. Appreciate the guidance and feedback. So how does everybody feel about it?
That looked good to me.
It looks fine.
Yeah, I just had a question. Are we going to get, and I may have missed something, it's very possible, assignments, so to speak, or because I think we talked about kind of divvying these up a bit. Or is that coming up in a future meeting?
Yeah, was my understanding, Anna, that email's gone out to ask folks for which of these meetings might fit with your schedule. So,
Yeah, like in my case, the only one that I absolutely can't do is November 8th, but everything else I can. So it's more like.
you're just waiting for confirmation back of which ones you're assigned to? Okay.
Sure. And I don't care at all which ones. Figure we can.
Sure. Okay. Anna, do we have all the input from commissioners so that we can start to fill out that assignment?
Yeah, so I believe this is what I received from everyone.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Great.
Okay.
So like there's, 5 people or whatever that can do.
Yeah.
Or that can do the 8th. So I'm assuming, maybe I'm wrong, but that we don't need everybody at all of them.
Right.
So.
Okay. Well, what we'll do is we'll take a look at all the availability and we'll try to spread them out rather than stack you in a particular month.
Great.
That way you get a little bit more variety as well. So, and then I'll have Anna send out by the end of the week final assignments. And if there's any conflicts, just let us know and we'll adjust accordingly.
Great. Thank
Does
you.
that work? Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I know there was some trouble with Doodle and the time zone that delayed things, but it's happened with us as well. So thank you for setting this up.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Well, it'll be by the end of this week that we'll get the dates and kind of instructions as to what's expected out of us as commissioners.
Absolutely, dates by the end of the week, and depending on how our conversation goes on item number 4, start to get a clearer picture of what your role will be in these. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, unless there's any further discussion on schedule, public outreach plan. Mr. Bowen is present with us again. Going to dazzle us with some thinking around how to inspire the public to engage on this important topic and come out to our workshops or participate virtually through the website and whatnot. So Spencer, you want to share some initial thoughts, and please feel free to, offer other suggestions, refinements, improvements. You guys always come up with very insightful perspective on it. So please don't hesitate to continue to help us come up with a good plan here.
Yeah, absolutely. Just echoing that, please share your ideas, and nothing will be earth-shattering, but felt we should share what the city's staff approach is to getting the word out there. So I'm going to share this real quick. So you'll start to see this on more things, right? That's our kind of committee branding here. You'll see in the next slide, but I'm working with staff to start building this throughout the website, including on the homepage, so folks can see it. So I'm just going to run through a very simple bulleted list of kind of the 3 categories of outreach and promotion that we envision. The first being sort of traditional media. You might notice, for those of you who check the city website every day, like we all do, that there's a list of news items that goes out to an email listserv. We have 900 plus emails, and some people actually get text alerts when the city puts out a news item. So my plan is to do an item at the beginning, sometime between now and that first meeting, and sort of reassess, but potentially a new item every time we have a new meeting coming up that week to, hey, another chance for input on advisory redistricting. So that's sort of a traditional email listserv approach. Again, you might anticipate we'll do a release to the Daily Democrat, likely right at the beginning of all these, laying out the dates and times, just so we make sure to engage that important local partner. And then for folks, this is pretty small potatoes, but I feel it's important for folks coming to the public library, to the community and senior center, and to City Hall. We'll make sure to have branding and flyers at those locations as well. Next category is social media, which remains important. The City of Woodland's on Facebook and Instagram, and we will post about all of these as they come. So again, both sort of in advance of the concept of these coming, and then when a scheduled event is about to happen. Another thing that I'm pretty passionate about, as Ken, who's always copied on these, knows, is teeing you up with links to these posts for you to share, and as well as the graphics, right? So if you want to post yourself and become your own messenger in the community, which hopefully everyone has some time to do either online or in person, that's really easy for you to do so. Finally, sort of the city avenues, working right now actually on the proper sizing and file type to get this branding right on the homepage. So you all as commissioners, if someone is confused, you don't even have to say, hey, go to boards and commissions. You can say, just go to the homepage. There will be the logo you've seen. Click there for more info. So making it as easy as possible. That'll certainly happen, probably the next couple of days, but certainly before meetings hit the road. The committee page itself, right, what that'll link to, we'll start to build out, making it look consistent with this sort of gold and green, our community, your voice look. Finally, this is, again, somewhat small potatoes, but Ken, every Friday afternoon or Saturday morning sends out an internal staff update to city council members and department heads throughout the city. And, that we'll include these efforts in that as well. In the spirit of, if you work for the city or if you're a city council member, oftentimes community members or connections will ask you, hey, what's going on with the advisory redistricting thing? And we want to make it easy for them to go back in their email and be like, here's a little blurb, here's a little graphic. So those are the kind of three buckets of things that we're envisioning at this point. Again, sort of a mix of upfront, hey, this is an effort happening, and then reminding folks as we go, as these meetings run from November to January, sort of bringing them back up top of mind, at the very least on social media. So any questions or suggestions on this brief presentation?
Yeah, the only suggestion I would have is, and I don't know where it would fit in here, but I think we should contact, just as a way to get word out, a couple of the service clubs in town. Maybe the Chamber of Commerce, because they have outreach also.
Right. Yeah, I was thinking of that too, Bob, like the Rotaries and Fraternal Order of Eagles. Kiwanis. Good point about Woodland Chamber. Other chambers. There's a Hispanic chamber, obviously in Sacramento, but I know they also work with Latino and Hispanic businesses in Woodland. There's probably other organizations like that I'm not thinking of. I know at one point we put together a big list of, that Anna helped with, together a big list of organizations, Spencer, that work with the community. So you're right, this is definitely kind of more on the typical, more citywide, but I wonder about the piece on the community-based organizations that work directly with different communities. Flyers and things like that can be very helpful. For example, in your food pickup from Yolo Food Bank, or there's other places and different social services. That's another place. City departments, county departments as well. I know that this is not Yolo County as a whole, but people from the City of Woodland go in and certainly use these different departments for services. So I'm wondering about that kind of thing.
Yeah, great suggestions all.
Yeah, along with what commissioners mentioned, the Concilio is a good club here. We don't have the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, but the Concilio is pretty active here in Woodland.
Yeah. I knew there was one. I just couldn't remember the name. Yep.
And you
likely others. I mean, I don't know about churches and things like that. I don't know how easy that is to kind of get around to all the churches, and I don't know how we would do that exactly, but it could be another method.
I would make sure that we included the community college and possibly the high schools.
Yes. Yeah, we had talked about like the civics, type instructors, so to speak. Civics, I know, is probably not the term anymore, but that would be cool.
I think if we follow this plan that you set up for us, Spencer, it'd be easy for us to also forward it to the clubs that we're familiar with.
That's right.
Our contacts there.
Yeah.
So I think that'd be also very helpful because I know that I have a contact for the Holy Rosary here with Sabina Faust, and she's really active with the community. Right. So if you just make it shareable with us and through a Google Drive or in an email, I think that's a good step.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the vision, is make it really easy for you all to share easily with the groups you're a little more intimately connected with, because as you said, Mary, it's like it can be hard for us to track down every church.
Yeah.
But no, these are great ideas, and in particular some of the service clubs we work with already, contacts at the college and the high schools, we can plug into those among other groups.
Will you be posting on the Woodland neighborhood Facebook pages?
Yeah, I was wondering that too.
Frankly, that's kind of a hard one. Like, I'm not a Woodland neighborhood member. So we have to sometimes rely on staff who are to sort of do it on their personal page. So that is something where we would, hopefully recommend, if some of you are members, it's a little bit more organic than the city sort of parachuting in.
Are there any other city newsletters that go out, e-blasts, that go out on a regular basis that could be included in?
Not really. Our biggest subscriber count to an e-blast are those news items, which is essentially city news updates, which is between, as I said, 900 and 1,000 subscribers, which for us is pretty good and pretty big. And people read them because they'll reply to me, and so that's the best we have at this point.
Okay.
Ken, I think you're on mute.
Sorry. Our police department and the community services department do have pretty robust Facebook followers. So, pushing out through those, there's at least 3,000 to 4,000 on those.
Correct. I didn't specify that in my thing, but it's common practice with not everything, but important stuff. I'll shoot them a note, similar as I will to you, right? Hey, here's the link to the post. Please share or copy it. Because they some of the agencies have their own presence, and then they can share easily as well. Okay.
Well, and I wonder about, Woodland Public Library, or, some of these other ones that have regular e-newsletters or things like that. You're right. We can't force anyone to do it. The flyers are great at those places, but also it could be something that we appreciate if you could include in your monthly or weekly, whatever they might be, newsletters. Yeah. Great.
So the Chamber of Commerce has a monthly e-blast.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, we, yes, agreed.
Okay, great. Yeah, I think we get that one.
The League of Women Voters is another obvious one. Who has... maybe Bob, you were invited to go present there. You have a good contact that you can.
Oh yeah. Trust me, I have a contact. She's a couple rooms down.
Yeah.
There you go.
So let us know what the best way to sort of share content with them would be.
I will. I will. I'll get to them.
Okay.
Good. Yeah, and I think as we go, there's probably other things that'll come up, and we'll be able to, kind of connect into, since this is over many months,
Right.
the other ways we can find things to get it out in, so to speak.
Spencer, can you have you given any thought to like what the content will be? Would the schedule of the workshops be on the flyers or on anything like that? And also, this is a once in 10-year event, or something to sort of put it into context for people, especially I think the younger people may not be aware of this and what it means.
Yeah, great point. Thank you for bringing that up. My intention is as simple as possible while still giving some context. So the stuff at the beginning would include all the dates, some context on what this is, why it's important, and making it look consistent with everything else we're sharing. Going forward, right, so kind of more, hey, like here's another meeting coming up. Those will be more specific to that. And then linking back to the kind of landing page.
Great.
Okay.
Cool. Well, y'all have my email. So if you have stuff, just please let me know. I'll kind of proceed with this plan. You'll start to see it sort of trickle out here. Getting the website looking a little snazzier and stuff like that. So that'll be the framework I work within. And before we get going, we'll plug in with some of these community groups as well.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, and as you see content being released, if there's something we missed or you think we should add, don't hesitate to just fire back and say, hey, can we update this, modify this, or on the next one, please include. So track it, look at it through the lens of a, uninformed, non-commissioned member in the community wondering what the heck this, our community, your voice is all about. So good. All right. Shall we move on to the highlight of the meeting, that long-awaited mapping tool tutorial? And
no pressure. No pressure.
No pressure. Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, good evening, everyone. Let me share my screen here. Let's do this one here. Okay. You guys see the tabulation? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So this is something, just before we get into the mapping, this is something that with Anna's help and Tom's help last week, we tabulated the numbers to look at kind of where the problem is, what the situation is on the ground right now. Here's the 2010 numbers and the deviation. So what the deviation means is we took the total population of everyone in Woodland in 2010, you divide by 5, and you come up with this number. So each district needs to be within 5%, hopefully less of this number. So that's what these numbers here are. So this is what the districts are now at the time of 2010 when they were created. Moving down to 2020, if we didn't do anything, this is where the problem is now. The ideal population is 12,206. As you can see, Spring Lake is nearly 30% of the population. So we need to get that down to less than 5. And I think Tom even said ideally less than 3. So that's kind of where we need to be. The whole goal of this thing is to move Spring Lake around and redistribute that council district. So if you guys have any questions on this graphic, I think we can try to close this to maybe the website, or at least have it at the workshops. I think just people can understand the problem and the work to be done, really. All right. I'm going to jump to this map. I think everyone's seen this one, possibly. I did miss a meeting. I don't know if it got even brought up, but this map here, which is currently posted to the city website, is really just a map of all the demographics of the census information. So there's a bunch of layers. I think we got some feedback last week. I think Peggy said, adding another one of, which I did today, blocks with total population. So let's see. Okay, yeah.
Great if you're wanting to.
Okay. anyway, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. This is available, but it's just demographics. There's no ability to draw and create district council boundaries. So kind of the middle of last week, I got a new tool, gave myself a crash course over the last few days, and this is what it looks like now. This is kind of the landing page when you come in. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, how this all works. We'll do some more in-depth training. I can do one-on-one training if anyone wants. I'm going to definitely type up some instructions to have online for people to use. But,
so if it's troublesome to be on the ground today, you can do.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to open the plan. So this is currently the districts as they stand now. Again, you can see the numbers here, the deviation. Anything with a red label means it's under. Anything with a green label means it's over. It will turn white when we get it to where we want. So, and it has a lot of the key demographics here: total population, total Hispanic population. This is percentages of total Hispanic population, non-Hispanic, and so on. But the really cool tool about this, let me move this over here, my notes. So the main tab that will be used here is just this create tool. So I think it's that, there's two ways we can go about this. You can just start from scratch, which I'm not doing tonight, but we can also start from the current district boundaries, which I think was the recommendation from, I think both Tom and the city attorney's group. So using this current district boundaries, it's really, really simple to just change these. So like if I do district 2, I could select a few over here, and we need to shrink district 5. It's really about just draw a square around these. These are the blocks. These little black lines are the census blocks, which is again the most granular of the census information. So everything changes on the fly. Now you can see here, labels turn white. I'm already within 5% of 2.5% of the target deviation. So it's literally that easy to just kind of grab these and change everything on the fly. It's pretty powerful, and it doesn't require me to take the data back in and rerun numbers and cross tab Excel spreadsheets and that type of thing. So let me just do this, and then I'm just gonna draw if you get this to look. I did a test one earlier today. Oops. So it's real easy. I grabbed the wrong district. Undo. I want to adjust district 3. I'm going to grab some more of this. Something like that. So as you can see, these numbers change. Now these two are both in white. This one's still over, or 5 still over, 2 still under. So that's really all it is a matter of, is just kind of adjusting these boundaries as you see fit.
Really, where's this tool now?
This will be posted online. This will be posted online. So, yeah, I'm not going to spend a lot of time just redrawing these, but I want to show you some of the other tools that are part of this. There's also these, you can add a theme. So if you're curious about a certain demographic per se, like the Hispanic, vote, you can add what they call a theme. So now it throws in the demographic information underneath. Instead of a fill, I'm going to use an outline so I can see my boundaries. But now you can see the Hispanic population. And this is counts. I should have done percentages. There we go. So it's very powerful, pretty easy to use, but there's a lot of buttons. And that's why I think, having some kind of a guided tutorial online might be the best way to go about this. I was curious to hear the feedback from the commission to see if, this is too confusing just to post online. I definitely think we should have this available at the workshops for people to sit down and have on with maybe, I will be at all the workshops to help them out as well. So, but again, remove this. So there's a lot of tools here. Once some of the other things here, once I got 2 and 3 set, I can lock these. That way they're kind of set in place. I won't, I don't have to adjust those again. I won't accidentally move them into another district like I did a second ago. You saw that. So you can lock them, hide them, kind of focus on one district at a time. This tool is built, this will be run by states, to update their congressional districts. So it's very powerful, not for just our local, kind of smaller cities. It can be for, countywide, statewide, even national level redistricting. So pretty powerful. And then some of the other things here is, once I just say I had these set, there's these integrity checks. So these are just quick checks to say, hey, how does everything look? Did I grab something that I shouldn't have? And it gives you a report back. Okay, my deviations are off. I kind of know that just because we're not going to go through the whole thing, but tells me which ones are not right now. 1, 4, and 5. So that's a really quick check as you're going through this to run these quick checks. Plan distribution. Again, you can kind of break down of how the districts are right now for the percentage of the population. I can change this to a breakdown of, say, total Hispanic over 18, so that the voting age of Hispanic votes, and you can see a breakdown of each district. So it makes a little pie chart. Again, easy to use, kind of on the fly as you develop these. You can pop these graphs open and take a look of how it's going. Another one you can do is district by district. So if I just wanted to see District 1, what is the Hispanic breakdown on this one? This is not Hispanic.
Wow.
So, and I can cycle through these. So, you can do some reporting. Let me open one of those, like a voting age population summary report. You can add, your own custom demographics. If you wanted more than just the Hispanic, you could add more fields to it. I can run this. I get a breakdown of the voting age population by district with percentages. So I think as we develop these draft plans, these will be very powerful reports to not only just show the maps, but here's all of the information behind them. It's easy to draw the boundaries on here. Really all you're doing is, getting within your deviations, but you don't also want to divide up those communities of interest, which are very important to this whole process. So it kind of you can focus on both of those aspects as you're developing their plans. And then some of the other things, as these are being developed, you can drop in some comments. You can put in, your name, the person's name who's going to submit it, why they think it should be, just kind of some notes, what they think is important, and why this would be a good draft for them. So, let's see. And another one, once it's all said and done, if there's these plan books, I made almost a report on the fly as well. So, next page, so it'll basically draw out the boundaries. You can add some demographics. So again, this will be a good thing at the end when 3 or 4 draft plans, even as a handout or just posted online. Here's the boundaries, here's the demographics, and it's all kind of done up in a nice bundled report. So that's kind of it in a nutshell, really quick. Does anyone have any questions? Do they want to see anything else?
Yeah, is there a listing in here of not of how many people or what the percentage of the area did vote or does vote?
That's a good question. It might be one of the demographics. I could definitely look at that. They'd have to tie that, I guess, to the local elections office to see what was the voter turnout. I'm not sure if that's part of the census collection, but maybe we could tie that together. Maybe even if it's not available here, we could get it from the elections office and then do some reporting that way after the fact. So
maybe it's not applicable, but it's just thought about it.
Yeah, that's a good question though.
Daniel,
Yes.
I'm looking at the statewide database
Mhm.
webpage from SACOG, and it looks like they have layers available for the last few elections
Okay.
that you could download.
Okay. For the turnout?
CSVs. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, if you would mind grabbing that link, Tom, and just shooting it over to me, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, even if you don't put it into, a layout like this, maybe it's important to have available on our website or to the public, just to see how each district turned out in the last elections, or last several anyway.
Yeah.
Danny, can you scroll down just a tiny bit to see the District 5? Just on
yeah. Let me just resize that there.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. Just
that better?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just wanted to see the numbers for District 5.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, you guys have any feedback, any thoughts on this? Seem too complicated, too pretty easy? I mean, obviously you're not going to do this out of the box, but I would definitely love to put this in your hands, maybe to play with over the next few days and get your feedback that way before we turn it loose on the public.
I think that'd be best. Yeah, because it's a lot of tools. It's great. It's great information, but is this going to be what we're seeing on your screen? That's exactly what will be popped up on that link under draw a map, the GIS link.
I mean,
or would it be a smaller version, and would it be tablet friendly is my other question.
I don't believe it's tablet friendly, unfortunately. And this is, we are paying for this. This is just basically what they call software as a service. So we're paying for it, just hosted online. So we're kind of limited to, I can't pare it down and remove some of the tools. There's not a lot of customization just because it's kind of hosted outside of our environment. So yeah, that's why I think just having instruction would be the most important, and just, when we post it, don't have them just kind of have to figure it out. I mean, they could go to Learn tab and do all this coding, but that's a lot of work. But just having maybe a tutorial, do this, here's the top 5 steps. And then once you get a feel for it, it's really easy to just kind of go from there. Like I said, I've only played with it for a few days, but it's really pretty easy to use. And I might be a little biased just because this is kind of what I do all day, but
yeah, it's all relative on easy.
Yeah. I realize that. And that's why I'd probably like to put it in your guys' hands, just so you can give me any feedback. And maybe it's not something we want on the public website just for anyone to use at any given time. If they want to contact me and have them, set them up and give them a training if there's someone who wants to use it, or just only at the workshops, and then we do the alternative methods of paper maps or some other just online drawing tools that are a little just easier, but they don't have this kind of dynamic calculation that's going on all the time. That could be a recommendation too. So I was really anxious to just get this out there and then get the feedback from the commission.
Yeah, I have 2 comments. I would, and my first one is I just, you can't really see it on these screens, but how much from this map are we going to learn about community of interests and aspects of that, as opposed to just straight population? And I guess, I would love to go in and fool around on this and just sort of explore, but that's my first question.
Well, I guess that comes down to what was captured in the census that is considered a community of interest versus kind of those extraneous things, school boundaries. We talked about, the mobile home parks, they might be considered a community of interest. There's kind of, a little more abstract community of interest than just what's in the census. So you're only going to get some of that. So I think that's going to be a big part of just getting the community's feedback on what they think is important. And then that has to be taken into account as you're developing these, even though you're not going to see that represented, maybe in the table down here, if that makes sense. So it's a complicated thing, I think, what we've been tasked with. So it's just going to this is just one tool in our tool belt, of how we're going to put this together. But I think this ultimately will help explain when we put those draft maps out, why and how this works, why these are the best 3 options or 5 options or whatever we put out. So, and I think that will make it, more transparent when we have all this and those reports and plan books and what have you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. As to my second question and point, it might merge into the next section that we're going to talk to, which is how the workshops will be run and what will happen at them. But, I would envision some version of this program that the public can play around with it, because I think we may very well have some people who are, plenty sophisticated with this level of a computer program too, and they will want to have a hands-on experience with it. But then I'm wondering, does this program allow you to sort of, freeze a map, do the integrity check, and then complete it in a way in a file that can be delivered as a proposal?
Absolutely. Yep. I mean, there's a lot of share options. You can freeze the plan as well. I mean, once you're ready, you can lock everything in and then share it out. So, yeah, that can all be done. Then you can make it, read only. That way it can't be edited again. So it does lock it in place. Absolutely.
And can they label it with their own name as?
Absolutely. And I would prefer that. And that's going to be part of those instructions. When they come in they're going to basically take the initial template and save it over using their name or some unique, the date, even if their initials, if they don't want to put their full name, something to that effect, just to make it unique. Yeah. And then they can have, and then go ahead and create their ideal draft, I guess. So, yeah. Yep. And that would be the steps, I think, in this tutorial that I would put together. I'm hoping to have that hopefully done tomorrow, and we can get this out to you guys for any feedback on the tutorial and the tool and just your thoughts in general.
Right.
I look forward to it.
Good. I hope everyone finds it useful and it's hopefully pretty easy to use. That's really, there'll be a short learning curve, but it's easily overcome within, probably 20 minutes you'd be up and running and you could have 5 draft plans built in that fast. So I have a lot of faith in the group and our citizens too. So yeah.
So that brings me to a question about, and again, maybe this is in the next agenda item, is the actual community meetings and workshops and the ability to have computers there, or ask, maybe we ask people to bring their laptops if they have them, or the ability to project this on the big screen kind of thing. And, so it's like, if we're going to have this as a main element of the workshop, or one of the main elements beyond kind of other more rudimentary drawing options on maps, which is also very helpful from the community piece. Is that something that we have the ability to do, to have computers there so people can, what are we thinking on that? Because it seems like if this is going to be a main part of those meetings, those workshops, we would need to have access.
Yeah, my assumption was, right, there's going to be those that approach this process that are completely intimidated by, the computer approach. So we want to provide an option and a vehicle for them to define their communities of interest, draw lines, just in a hard paper format. And there's those that are going to be frustrated if they don't have access to this powerful tool. So
right.
At the workshop and on the website, we would offer both opportunities for folks. So that would necessitate, probably at least a handful of laptops at each workshop location, where folks that want to, educate themselves on the tool, actually develop their own maps on the tool at the workshop, they could do so, or they could learn enough to go back and use the tool on their own time. But those that just want to come in and, define their community of interest, not even get into the council district boundaries, but just help us identify those neighborhoods and those communities, they can do that as well.
Okay. That sounds good.
I mean, it seems to me we're doing so many workshops that people might be encouraged to come to the first one just for the introduction and the second one come to a public comment period where they can actually show the map that they're proposing and explain it to us at least.
Right.
Yeah, that would be cool.
All right. Well, any other questions about the tool? Anything else you want to see or potentially think it might be missing or could use?
Sorry if I missed it, but Danny, when did you say we would be able to practice this tool?
I'm hoping as early as tomorrow I could get out an email out to the group. I'll send it to Anna first and then she'll pass it along. So,
okay.
Yeah, very soon.
Thank you.
I'm hoping tomorrow.
No, that's great. Thank you. And thank you.
I'm assuming there's a aerial photograph layer that they can.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that would be nice.
That is definitely one of the buttons here. Like I said, there's so many.
Base map.
Base map. That's the one. So.
Yeah.
Wow.
And if you wanted to, again, the fill might be a little cumbersome, so you can see exactly where those lines are. Yeah.
Wow.
So.
Cool.
Very cool.
Yep.
Great. Is there a limit on how many people can be using this tool off of our license or our web page?
Not that I know of. I I have like 3 browsers on my work computer. I logged in all 3 of them and was playing around. It's just myself. So maybe I could send it out to the IT team and see if we can have multiple people log in, but I didn't see a limit and I don't know of any. So I don't think that's a concern. So I think we're good there.
Good.
Yep.
Don't ask.
Exactly. As long as it's working, right?
Yeah. Well, this is absolutely, incredible tool to have for us. And a lot faster to kind of do the analytics than
exactly. I think that's really
10 years ago.
It's bonus. You don't have to draw a boundary, throw it out in Excel, and then do all the tabulation yourself. So it's really cool that it just does it as you're going and you get that real time feedback to kind of encourage you to keep going.
Daniel?
Yes.
Have we verified internet access at the different locations and what kind of access that will be?
I have not been at most of them are schools. I think there might be a couple, maybe Norton Hall we'd want to check in, but I would assume they'd all have some sort of public access to Wi-Fi. But that's a great thing we should follow up on.
The Ag Commissioner's office right next to it, so it would be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and verify that before time. Thank you.
And maybe want to limit some of the visible layers.
Yeah,
there's a lot of data there. Most of it doesn't really apply to our process.
Are you talking about the demographic information?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll see what I can do on limiting some of that. Everything's going to kind of start from this template I built. So yeah, we'll pull some of these back and then that will be their starting place. But like I said, there's not a ton of customization I can do, but we'll try to at least limit what is there at the outset. If they do want to delve deeper into the census data, they can, but we won't have that there in their face and overwhelming them, right from the get-go.
Yeah, there's so many subcategories on the census data that you could get lost and not realize it because they're cutting everything off after 12 characters.
Sure. Yeah. It even gives you a warning if you add too many of these, it might slow down the process. So I think less is more for, at least getting a draft up, and then if we really wanted to, think this is a good candidate, then you might want to, delve a little deeper to make sure everything looks good. But yeah, it's a good suggestion, Tom.
And maybe I can talk with you offline about going through the layers and optimizing it for the most information, most bang for the buck.
Yeah, I'd appreciate that. Yeah, I think that would be the way to go.
So Danny, I just have a question. So the map that you have up there right now and the districts and the total population, that's the way it currently stands?
This is what I've just
He's been playing with it.
I've been playing with it. So yeah,
got it. Okay.
This is what I just did on the fly.
He's getting to approximately 12,000 for each district.
Okay.
Yeah, so I got them all that within 2-ish%. So pretty good. But I didn't look at any of those communities of interest now. So,
no.
Now I've done one side of the coin. You'd have to look at the other side to make sure everything. You're not breaking up a minority group or one of those communities of interest. So.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
And Tom, I think you spoke last week regarding, considering future annexations.
Yeah, that when in talking about layers, having something about future plans as a specific layer that you can show there.
Yeah.
And even one that's locked in underneath showing future growth. And as we identify them, also have layers showing identified communities of interest.
Okay.
That would be visible as an underlay of the map.
Okay. Yeah, and I can do that with this ad content. I can take those GIS layers and put them in here and lock them in so they're available without someone having to do it themselves or just kind of know, hey, these are the possible annexation areas. So we could make all that available.
Yeah, Danny, might be good to have the general plan land use map as a layer.
Okay.
We can think about whether that's beneficial or not, but
okay.
In addition to those areas that are, at least in the next 10 years going to be annexed.
Yeah.
It'd be hard to speculate on that, but at least the near term.
Yeah. Okay. That's doable.
Okay.
Do you have data on renters versus owners and residences?
All I've seen so far is, I guess, homeowner occupied versus non-homeowner, which I guess does get at renters, but
generally speaking, yeah.
Yeah, that is available in here. That is part of the census information for redistricting. Yep. So yeah, you can make that a theme. We could create that and show how that's what fields to select if you just want to see that level of data.
Great.
Yeah. All right.
Good. Anybody else?
Everyone. Yeah.
And any feedback on mapping tool? Good. David?
Good to go. Thank you.
Good. All right.
Oh, Ken, I'm sorry.
Yep.
Do we know what the square miles are for each district? Or, are we looking at 2 to 3 miles or?
I could easily get that. What throws that off is like that 900 acres out here on the east side of town. No one lives there, but it is part of District 5 technically currently. So, there's a lot of open land that will throw that number off on some of these, especially District 5 as it stands. Mm-hmm. So yeah, but I can't get that. That's not a problem. Yep.
Good. All right. Well, let's move on to the final topic then, which we've touched on a little bit already, is how do we want to approach these workshops? We can be prepared. Just to throw it out there, I guess, talking off the top of my head, my thought is, we lead off with a presentation at the beginning of the meeting that talks around, what the process is, the legal background, a little bit of a summary of a few slides from what you saw last week at the public hearing, maybe. And then we'll do kind of an overview on how folks can engage, right? Whether it's the paper mapping tool, what we're looking for, what does a community of interest definition look like? What does a neighborhood of interest look like? And then, probably not do an overall tutorial for the mapping tool, but encourage folks that are interested in using that mapping tool that it's available. We'll have folks that are familiar with it there to assist people in sort of navigating it. So that's as far as I've thought so far in terms of how to format this. And again, as it was pointed out, I think we want to emphasize this isn't the only opportunity for anybody to provide input. They can attend one or they can attend all of these workshops, certainly if they want to, and they can, navigate this process, virtually and online as well. So I think we want to script a pretty well sort of introductory presentation and then, provide different resources for folks that show up to support them in going through the mapping exercise. So haven't thought around, who has what role in the meetings. I think I would lean towards, of course, having the commission members be the primary sort of face and voice of this rather than city staff, if you're comfortable with that. But, we can talk around, who wants to take on those roles based on your assignments that you get later this week. And we can help you sort of prepare and script for that. And we'll, of course, staff will be there at the meetings as well to support. So I'm not going to leave you off on your own. So I'll throw that out there for folks to, perfect, refine, throw out and think about an entirely different approach to it. So don't be shy.
So is there any budget for food?
For the commissioners or for the public?
For the public? Because, I've held a lot of meetings over the years, and it's just more welcoming to be able to come in and to kind of mingle and talk a little bit with people who are there and introduce yourself. And before you kind of get into the dry, so to speak, presentation. And just that ability that's a little bit more informal, right? Once that presentation's done and people are making a decision as to whether or not they're going to get, just draw on a piece of paper or they're going to fill out that survey. And I wanted to ask about that survey that we talked about, I don't know how many meetings ago. The ability for folks to fill out surveys there while they're there, either online or hard copy. And then also just to be able to go, okay, I'm going to go over here and look at the computer for a little bit. And that ease, and that helps with having some food and drink. Mm-hmm. And I'm quite sure that if we needed to, Nugget, happy to talk to, and I'm sure, Rayleigh's or whatever would be willing to also kind of donate some food to this if that's necessary, food and drinks, to be able to have it a little bit more of a casual interaction and ability to talk to each other.
Yeah, certainly. Most public meetings we have water, often cookies. Tend to try to figure out how to be a little bit healthier with the food we provide. We'll probably gravitate towards, mixed nuts or things like that. Yeah. Things like that, but grab and go. Fresh fruits, maybe even. So. Mm-hmm. If that sounds kind of in line with what you're envisioning, we can certainly find room in the budget for that.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I think it's a good idea, but I also think the COVID safety issues come into play when you have food involved. So just make sure it's sort of separately packaged or something.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe Spencer can help us brand the water bottles with Our Community, Your Voice, and they can take it.
There you go. Well, we have great Woodland businesses that make great cookies or, whatever. I don't know. I appreciate the COVID thing, but I've been to a lot of events now where food is not seeming to be an issue. So I don't know. I'm more interested and concerned about wearing masks inside than I am about but that's just me.
I agree. And masks are a higher priority.
Yeah. I think anyway. Yeah.
If we have food, then people have to take their masks off. That'll make some people happy. And
Pretty
others.
sure we're going to have big enough rooms where people can get more than 6 feet apart and eat their cookies or
we'll absolutely
their walnuts or almonds or something. It's just, I just feel like it's a more inviting atmosphere. And then that's the other piece is having folks who speak, obviously, who are bilingual, really important as well from a staff perspective, and others that we may want to ask to be there that are leaders of the community or things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could even have different leaders at different community, some of these different workshops that people know, and that they are almost drawing points, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
To piggyback off of what Mary just said, if we cannot have staff, if we're going, I'd like to see these meetings promoted in bilingual Spanish, with Latino population being as big influence here in Woodland as it is. And if we can't have Spanish translators for all community workshops, to at least label some that are, that say these will have Spanish input, or I don't know how to phrase it, but just the idea of not just promoting it in Spanish and leaving out the Spanish translation in the meeting. Because oftentimes that's where I've seen hosting some community meetings as well, where we have Spanish speakers because they came to participate because they saw the flyer, and to their surprise, there's no Spanish translation of the instructions or the practice that's going to go on. Yeah, and I'm happy to participate if there's no staff that can help us with some of the instructions, but I think I just put in that January 11th was the only date that I couldn't, but I want to make sure that that's a point we take.
Good. Yeah, actually, I'll just poll real quick. Other than David, is there anybody else that's bilingual on the commission? Nope. Okay.
I can bring my significant other. I'm sure he'd love that.
Oh yeah, it's gonna cost you.
It would definitely cost me.
Well, that's a great point, David. We'll make sure if we can't cover every meeting, we'll identify at least half where we can have Spanish translation available.
Yeah, and at least for the virtual one, I think. Yeah. Everybody's coming out of work and they can at least log on to their device.
Absolutely. Okay.
Thank you.
That's good.
As to the format, I thought perhaps we might want to consider having, the first 15 minutes or the first 30 minutes is kind of open house format with tables and somebody at a table and sort of talking about what it is before we get into the formal presentation. I think, as Mary was saying, kind of a little more friendly way of doing things, and people are more apt to ask their questions kind of one-on-one rather than the crowd.
Yep.
We'll be lucky to have a crowd.
I know.
Yeah. No, you're right.
The whole thing is an open house. Yeah, no, I hear you. No, people want to sort of get comfortable and feel somewhat approachable before they get stuck in a classroom, right? So,
yeah.
Okay.
The cookies will help.
Right.
That's right. Or the.
I think we better have a 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper with a paper map of what we have now.
Yes.
And what the districts are. So somebody could take that and say, well, let's include this area here, and just it'll start a conversation going. Maybe if anybody shows up.
Yeah, that's right.
I think the existing district boundaries with the current populations.
Right. That's what I was
quite telling.
Yeah. It helps describe the challenge, part of the challenge, right? So.
Yeah, I think that what I'm thinking of doing is that whichever kind of two or whatever ones that I'm assigned to, I'm going to think hard about some community leaders that I'm going to reach out to kind of help me, and depending on which locations it is, to really bring some people there, you know, whether it's a church pastor or a, you know, chair of the board of some nonprofit organization that I work with or whatever. I just think that that will really help if we have personal appeals to people that we know that could also then bring additional folks in, even if that person brings in another 2 to 3 people, right? I mean, it's worth it.
Yeah.
So I think that that would be something, again, once we look at these dates and we kind of get our assignments, then I can start reaching out to people that I know and saying, hey, would you be willing to help me gather people to come to this particular workshop? So that's just a thought that I had as well from a format. I mean, it's not so much a format as it is more of, as it is really a way of trying to make sure we're being inclusive and welcoming to a wide variety of people out there. And we all have our different people that we know in this community, which I think is great. I mean, that's the strength of having a diverse commission. So that's just, you know, again, not a format per se, but the way, like what Peggy was saying, with that kind of opening up of being more in that open house format to walk around, talk to people, look at tables, look at maps, ask questions, have some almonds. And, you know, often a lot of people are not going to show up right when it starts anyway. So if you do a presentation at the beginning and then people were walking in and they're like, oh, in the middle of the presentation. So having it be a little bit later can be very helpful.
Mm-hmm. And those that just want to show up and draw their map and leave, right?
That's fine too. Yeah, that's fine too. But going back to that survey question, so we did talk about that like in the first or second meeting, and we looked at some of those different surveys from different cities. And there was, I believe, somewhere like Long Beach or whatever that we liked. That was like that one simple page. Is that still in the thought process of having be up on the website as something that people can fill out, and also having it at the events themselves?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Anna reminds me and the commission where we're at with kind of creating a Woodland version of that, kind of pulling from some of the best examples that we saw a couple meetings back.
Yeah, let me share just to refresh everyone's memory. Here we go. It was, can everybody see that?
The Burlingame, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that was, I mean, there's 20 of them here, but I think I had forwarded these over to everybody, and you were all going to take a look at them. And I think from maybe what we took from this was more like the branding. I don't remember anybody coming back with.
Well, I mean, I remember that I liked that first one.
Right.
A lot less words, you know, less
page.
text,
One
more
line
simple.
per question, yeah.
Yeah.
And having the QR code.
Something that doesn't require participants to have to print it out. It's not to have it, but not everybody has a printer. Not everybody has ink. So it's, I think the QR code is definitely a good aspect of it.
Yep. I just remember that was the feedback I gave at that particular meeting, and when we looked through them, Anna. I remember some of them were pretty lengthy.
Yes.
But some of them had some really good description too of kind of what the process was all about. So it was it was a good comp. Some of those were a good combo.
So maybe,
Go ahead.
work on a one-page community of interest and have everybody look it over and
Yeah, I didn't get, I haven't looked at each one of these, in detail for the questions, but I'm wondering if they are all asking pretty much the same questions, just with different words, or would we want to have substantive input into what the questions are for people to answer to define their community of interest?
yeah, I think all of these are just slightly,
They're just worded differently.
well, yes, exactly. Worded differently is,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But getting at
There's
the
a similar
topics.
one, your community, your voice.
Mhm.
Yep, the Long Beach. Mm-hmm. That's the one I guess I was thinking of. I remembered the first one because it was one page and fillable. But I remember this Long Beach one was another very approachable.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they're basically asking the same questions, just in slightly different ways.
right?
Did the Burlingame describe or define community of interest on their one pager?
Not much because it's so short.
Yeah, and that's the one thing I think is missing from
Mm-hmm.
this one pager is that, what is a community of interest? What are the key things that define your community to you?
Mm-hmm.
So if we could pull that out and put that on a backside and just have, or a second page, and have the fillable portion just on one page, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Another option would be to print a map without any boundary lines on it, but just a map of the city on the back. And that way they could, describe on the front in words what the community of interest is, but then on the back, either pinpoint where they live and draw a circle around it, or they could actually do lines. And of course, that would be not necessarily, a formal map the way somebody would do if they're working online to submit a map with all the lines specifically done, but it would just be sort of a general concept. If they wanted to add that to their narrative description of their community of interest.
Mm-hmm.
That would be nice, actually, to have that visual piece, not just the text, words, responses.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel, is it possible to create a separate portal to allow people to draw a map online of their community of interest?
Yeah, that was something I already made a note of tonight that I want to try to do as well. So it won't be this same layout that I showed tonight, but maybe another one with the tools I already have on hand. So they can just draw any, basically just a markup. They can draw any boundary they want to submit as a community of interest.
That would be very, very helpful.
Okay. Yep, I made a note of that.
And that's something they could definitely do at the workshops. They could do it anytime, but they could come in and do.
But that's the type of submission, I'm just assuming this, but, that would not meet that integrity test that the GIS map has, right?
Right. But it could be used, as we're developing draft maps to say, hey, this is an important community to, X amount of people.
We don't want to break it up.
Exactly. We should take this into consideration. Yep.
Yeah, I just think we need to make sure that people understand the distinction.
Exactly.
There's an integrity tested map, and then there's the map of your community of interest, which feeds into the integrity validation.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah. We'll make that very clear.
Cool. Okay. We have enough information, Anna, or otherwise, to start putting together some, maybe a front and back, or however you want to.
Yep. And then I'll send it out to each of you and you review it.
Okay.
Great.
You sent us these surveys, right? You sent us these surveys previously in an email?
Yes.
It was like the second meeting, I think.
Okay. I think we'll have to look over them as well. Perfect.
And then instead of the buffalo, we have the tree. It looks
Yeah.
like a buffalo to me. I don't know. A buffalo running. Every time I look at it, I'm like, what's that? All right. How are we doing on our agenda?
I think that was the last topic. So unless there's no other comments you guys want to put forth right now or discussion, we can kind of conclude tonight. Do want to talk around when do we want to meet again? I would highly advise we have another meeting prior to the workshop. So we got a couple weeks. We could either meet again next week or give you guys a break for a week and meet the week of the 1st. Front end, that would give us enough time to pull together any last touches for the workshop on the 8th. All right.
I think that's fine as long as we kind of have some of these other pieces maybe that we're looking at and giving feedback on next week, like the survey, like finalizing, which we've already talked about, finalizing kind of which dates are for which commissioners to be the lead on, that kind of thing.
Yeah, if we spent the next week, pinning down all the assignments, getting your feedback offline on the survey tool, map, and then
checking in on the internet access at each of those locations.
Yeah, we'll handle all the logistics
Yeah.
for these meetings. Are well formatted and equipped. Get the food dialed in.
And Spencer will be starting his
Start the public outing.
process and
Yeah.
getting information out to us so we can start sharing these meetings.
Yep.
Will be, yeah, okay. If we could do that next week, that would be, because I don't want to wait really till the first week of November to be able to start sharing things.
Sure. Yeah.
But otherwise, November 1st is available.
At 6 o'clock again?
Yeah.
Next week is really difficult for me. So if we get it all electronically figured out, week of the 1st would be best.
Sorry, Anna, this is Jay. What day were you looking at?
Monday, November 1st at 6?
Thank you.
That's good for me.
It works.
Anne, does that work for you? Perfect.
I can't make that date, but if there are any communications reports, I'll leave it with Ken and Anna, and you know where to find me.
Thanks again, Spencer, for all the outlines that you provided.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Great.
Sounds like we're set for the 1st at 6. Once
Right.
again, homework. And we'll be shooting communications to you over the next week and a half.
Or maybe tomorrow we'll learn how to use that map.
Bob's ready.
I'm ready for it.
That's why you're on the commission. Okay. Any other business? I think we're done, right?
It's good. I move to adjourn.
All right.
I'll go with that.
First,
All right.
bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Good
Cheers.
night.
Night, everyone.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.